We there.
All
Okay,
right.
what's up, people? What's
Yep.
up, people? We are here once again. JV Wans Dogon SS Conscious Approach. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, leaving
Mhm.
those comments. We certainly appreciate you. It's been an amazing ride on the channel the last few weeks, man. Pleased to see the engagement. Not necessarily about people telling us how right our opinions are, but also the people telling us how wrong our opinions are. Either way, we just like growing the community. So it's been pretty fun the last few weeks as we continue to crank out this logical content. And for that, major shouts out to everybody who's been hitting that subscribe button and hitting that like button. And if this is your first time catching wind of what we like to do over here on this YouTube channel,
You
go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we are posting content like this onto the channel each and every day. So we welcome you and we certainly appreciate you, JV Wins Dogon SS. Now, with that out of the way, we are going to go ahead and get things kicked off. First thing that we are going to talk about is this woman who you see here. If you watch The Sopranos, a classic show on HBO, this actress here. Her name is Drea De Matteo. She is most famous for playing a character on The Sopranos. She played Chris Moltisanti's girlfriend on The Sopranos. That character was played by Michael Imperioli. So she played his girlfriend, and that's what she's most famous for. Second to that, and probably at this point most infamous, since her Sopranos stint, she was one of the first sort of kind of mainstream actresses to kind of go public with going to OnlyFans. So obviously, these people doing OnlyFans is nothing new, but the majority of the people who have sort of moved on to do OnlyFans are either adult film actresses or influencers, reality TV type people. People like Larsa Pippen and people like this who think that there's value in becoming a part of her friends or community. And so those are the majority of the people who we have known for the most part who have gone over to do OnlyFans. But we've also talked about what's the name of the actress who used to be on the Bernie Mac show. We recently discussed her, going to OnlyFans because her acting Hollywood money dried up, and so she decided to go to OnlyFans because she felt that it was a opportunistic avenue for her to take in lieu of her acting money and her residual checks drying up. And so this woman here, Drea De Matteo, is no different. She's on OnlyFans. She's very proud of her decision, and she will tout it and scream to the mountaintop how proud she is of her decision to join OnlyFans, how she is not looking back, how it's one of the best decisions that she could have ever made. She's very proudly entered into the modern day sexual marketplace as a sex worker, and she's not looking back, and she's not going to make any apologies for it. But the reason why she's in the news is because she recently trended for expressing how her child is a part of her OnlyFans. Her child is a part of her OnlyFans apparatus. Yeah. So she has a 13-year-old son, and her 13-year-old son is someone who helps with her OnlyFans content. So this obviously got a lot of people. This obviously got a lot of people talking. Shouts out to BJ Santana. He sent me the link for this. He DM'd me on Instagram and sent me this. So shouts out to him for forwarding along the content because it is right in line with the stuff that we like to talk about on the channel. But of course, before we get into it, we'll go ahead and talk about it briefly. So this says Drea De Matteo says her 13-year-old son helps edit her OnlyFans content. Drea De Matteo's presence on OnlyFans is very much a family effort. The Sopranos and Sons of Anarchy actor made waves when she joined the subscription-based adult streaming site last year. Appearing on the Not Today Pal podcast this week, she revealed that her 13-year-old son, Waylon, sometimes helps edit her content. He's like, so what do you want me to do with the bikini line here? De Matteo told her Sopranos co-stars
Oh,
Robert Eiler and Jamie Lynn Siegler, who co-host the podcast. As far as what content she permits Waylon and his 16-year-old sister Alabama to view, she draws the line at images that include other models, even if they aren't much racier than a love scene from one of her film or TV roles. A New York native, De Matteo has been in the headlines recently for criticizing celebrities who have endorsed President Joe Biden, though she has stopped short of publicly endorsing his Republican rival, former President Donald Trump. When she joined OnlyFans in 2023, she said she saw it as a way to generate income after being passed over for Hollywood roles because of her vocal opposition to COVID-19 vaccine mandates. She said her original goal on the site was to launch a podcast that would be co hosted by her boyfriend, Robbie Stabler, and focused on politics and current affairs. We wanted to do it there because it wouldn't be censored, and everything was being censored, she said. We have no freedom of speech anymore. The actor quickly shifted to more steamy content, and though she said she has thus far steered clear of full frontal nudity or X rated acts on the site, she's come to regard her OnlyFans work as a political statement nonetheless. I had to give myself the narrative that this is the only way I can fight for my freedom right now. And that's basically to be naked. To be naked with my beliefs. To be naked with my beliefs and my politics and what I want for my kids' future. And I think that people are so afraid right now to speak their minds. So, as always, all relevant links are in the description of this video. So you can check out that link for yourself and view that podcast in full if you'd like. You can also, of course, search for it on YouTube because it lives there. But so her 13-year-old son helps her edit some of her OnlyFans content. According to this article, she does not get naked and she does not have sex on her OnlyFans, but she does get as explicit as you can get short of doing that stuff, according to the article. But her son is involved. And then she also, doubled back by saying that she started this to start a political podcast, which is kind of weird. But be that as it may, what are your thoughts on this Drea De Matteo sharing that her son helps her edit her OnlyFans content?
I mean, this is as new age as you can get, man. But for sure, this is Hollywood activity. So let's not hopefully this doesn't become normal behavior from the other scallywags that are out here doing it. You know what I'm saying? But this here to me is quitting. Turning to OnlyFans is like quitting. It's like being a drug dealer. It's like don't get me wrong. Now, dealing drugs can get very intricate, but you're selling drugs, and so it's just one of those default things of, hey man, you can really try out here and do something else. If you want to be independent and run your own business, you don't have to sell drugs to do it. And so same thing here. Like if you want to be independent and make your own money, you don't have to sell, your body dopamines to everybody. And that's what she's selling here. And, the people that just go, hey, I don't have enough money or enough funds or a big enough platform, so let me start an OnlyFans. It seems to be the right formula for these women. So, they're all doing it. The ones that join. But I would say this also on top of me looking at it like a default type of thing. It's also a thing of the attention that some of these women want, in the sense of, they get off from it too, I think, from all of these guys lusting after them and they're getting paid for it. I think that's also an incentive, to also be lusted upon in a idle kind of way, so there's a psychology aspect to that these women are getting off, and that aspect of being put on a pedestal like that. So I think that they get a little bit of kick out of it too. So that's why they keep doing it. But the part about bringing in your child, to me, I feel like that's crossing the line. I I feel like that's a little too far. Even if you're not getting naked or making explicit content, if you're posing in suggestive ways, with bikini lines showing, and you know your adolescent is around here editing things, I don't think that's appropriate. You could have found somebody on Fiverr. You could have found a fan that's willing to do it for free. So you don't have to consult your 13-year-old son and drag him into it. But again, once we're dealing with Hollywood stuff, these people expose their children to inappropriate stuff all the time. So I'm really not surprised in that aspect, but I don't like the fact that she's parading it around as if she's brave for doing this. I think that this is dangerous rhetoric, and she needs to be reprimanded for it. At least, that's my thoughts. But what about yours, sir? What are your thoughts on Miss Drea inviting her child to edit her OnlyFans content? Whoa.
So whenever we you don't look at our comments as much as I do. So a lot of times when we drop a video and it gets served up on the algorithm and a lot of people start commenting, I'll go through and I'll kind of, look at what some of the more intelligent commenters are saying. And usually there's I would say there's about a 65-35 split when it comes to these kinds of videos when we post them on the channel. And it's usually 65% of people calling us out for being unreasonable, for criticizing people like her. And the other 35% are on our side, who are kind of like, how far do we continue to push the envelope before this goes too far? Which is basically the only point that we're ever trying to make with this stuff is, how far do you push the line until the line gets pushed too far? But the majority of the people who are commenting are usually saying, who are you to judge? She can do whatever she wants with her life. It is her business. It's her money. She can make whatever choice she wants. You'll get a few people who are like, sex work is work. Basically the tenor of their comments are, we have no place to call this kind of stuff out or to criticize it, because who are we? We're not in her shoes. We have no business speaking on another grown person's, life. She's an adult. She can do whatever she wants. Blah, 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 blah. So what that says to me is that literally this is a generational thing, I feel. And when you spoke before about, when you said, what was that you said? You said, it was one of the first things you said, about how it's quitting and
like selling drugs.
Yeah. How it's kind of like an easy way out type of deal. That is the kind of talking point that is only going to resonate with people whose sensibilities are such that you sort of work to earn something through like kind of the hard work that you put in, right? So whether it's acquiring a trade, whether it's acquiring a certificate, some kind of a license, or working your way up traditionally through schooling, education, so on and so forth, right? So you strap yourself in, you put in the hard work, and then you come out on the other side with a plethora of opportunities available to you. Now, obviously, if you're a procrastinator, if you're on the lazy side, if you don't have that work ethic gene, it doesn't matter how much work you put in, things are going to be harder for you in life. But generally speaking, that kind of attitude that you expressed appeals to people whose sensibilities are most akin to the traditional model. But that's a dying sensibility. So we can scream to the mountaintop about how it's quitting and how it's taking the easy way out. But talk to these other content creators on the internet who are becoming millionaires because they're able to cash in on the currency of attention. Now, I don't agree with it and I don't like it because I've expressed this before. One of the reasons why I don't like OnlyFans is because it's a low barrier to entry. And I can acknowledge the existence of something because, hey, it's here. So who am I to sort of disavow its existence? So I can acknowledge the existence of something. That doesn't mean that I have to respect it. and I don't respect OnlyFans because it's a low barrier to entry, and it basically benefits almost exclusively women because it's a visual medium, and visual mediums liken themselves to things that are more visually alluring. And no one cares about how a man looks half naked for the most part. The sex industry is tailor made for women because women are the more visually alluring of the two genders. Therefore, OnlyFans is something that is a very low barrier to entry that almost exclusively benefits women. And I don't respect it because of its low barrier to entry. And I'm saying that because this chick was an actress on one of the most famous, one of the most heralded television shows of all time. How are you investing your money to see to it that in the long run, you don't have to do OnlyFans if you don't want to? Something tells me that she opted to get into OnlyFans because maybe she really did recognize it as an option that was one of few. But to your point, I also think she got into it because she realizes that as a woman, she can benefit off of the modern sexual marketplace that pretty much only benefits women.
Mhm.
And it's a low barrier to entry. Let me get my laptop, let me get my phone, let me get my tablet, and I'm off to the races. All I got to do is just put on sexy outfits, which I already do in my private time anyway. All I'm doing is just doing it in front of a camera. So I just don't respect it because of its low barrier to entry. Now, all y'all out there who are going to leave comments talking about how out of place I am for talking about how much I don't respect it, it is what it is. I just don't respect it, and I never will because of its extreme low barrier to entry. But moreover, what I like to talk about whenever we do touch on these OnlyFans topics is like, where do you draw the line between like maintaining something in its proper place and just sort of pushing it out into the mainstream as just this generalized thing that everyone does, and so it's no big deal. One of the main trepidations that I have with OnlyFans, and I totally see this happening in the near future, is that sex work is just going to be perceived as a job that you work. I've talked about that on this channel before. It's not that in and of itself OnlyFans exists, but it's that it's becoming normalized, so much so that as the days and the weeks and the months and the years progress, we as humans are becoming more desensitized to the idea that sex working in OnlyFans is something that you truly resort to as a last measure because maybe certain things didn't work out. And so you need to do this in order to keep yourself up or to get on. But it's becoming less so that as an option that people seek. And it's more so becoming, I don't need to get out here and do this hard work. I'm going to just get on OnlyFans. I've talked before about how people ain't on hard work anymore. It's why service across the board is ass. The pandemic created all of these microeconomies that traditional service, traditional brick and mortar is almost dead.
Mhm.
I don't know when's the last time anyone's been in a retail store or a grocery store, but service is in the pits. No one wants to work. Everyone is overworked and underpaid. No one wants to do anything. And no one cares about providing good service because the prevailing wisdom nowadays is I don't need to work hard for anything. I can just get on the internet. and and that is becoming the prevailing wisdom so much so that we're so desensitized to the idea that I'm gonna just hop on this OnlyFans and make this money that now women like her are bringing in their kids to help them. And
That's crazy.
they're truly turning it into a family business because the idea is I don't need to shield my kids from this anymore. It's out there in the ether so much. What do I need to protect them from? What, like, we're introducing these kids into this kind of content at such a young and early age. They're so impressionable that we're pushing the envelope further and further and further. Like, we are moving the goalpost to the point where these kids are going to be toddlers and they're going to have a firm grasp on what sexually explicit content is because we just don't care anymore. We just don't give a damn. No one cares about protecting these delicate humans, giving them time to understand the full grasp of what these things mean. This kid's 13 years old. In my opinion, he shouldn't be
No,
introduced to content of this nature at this age, even
no.
if she's not getting naked or going the full route. I don't care. He's 13. He's still in middle school.
Mhm.
If he even goes to school, I don't know the way everyone does all of this alternative stuff nowadays. But there's no sanctity in anything anymore. And when anyone dissents against it, it's like, who are you to speak on it? Well, I'm somebody who's conscientious of the world. And if I don't like something, I'm going to criticize it. And you can disagree with my opinion if you want. That's fine. But the thing about it is, where do we continue to draw the line? It's going to continue to get pushed. And I talked before about my firm belief. Well, I don't know. Things are real crazy politically right now, but as things smooth over, if the pendulum doesn't get swung too far in any extreme direction, I really do feel like things like prostitution are just going to become legal, like across the board nationally. Like I totally see that happening. It's going to be like weed, where if you want to indulge in some paid strange change, all you got to do is just hit up your local dispensary and boom, it's right there on every other corner. I can just get it in however I feel, because we're just sort of pushing the envelope on desensitizing our population to things that should be measured with respect to how decent we perceive them to be. And this to me is an indication of that, where she has her kid editing her photos, I'm guessing. And all you gotta do is do a Google search. Do a Google search. Do a Google search. Do a Google image search of Drea De Matteo's OnlyFans. And it's gonna give you some Google appropriate results. And if you think that it's normal, appropriate, decent for her 13-year-old child to help her with this content, then I guess you're on that 65% of the aisle who's going to criticize me for these views. But I just kind of feel like certain things need to be kept in the box, in the Pandora's box in which they belong. Sex work and OnlyFans is one of those things. I alone am not powerful enough to prevent that from happening. But if you ask me, we are just totally deconstructing everything right before our very eyes. And if we can start, and if we continue to push the envelope, pretty soon it's going to be a situation where these chicks who actually do go all the way with this content are going to have their kids editing that stuff too. And the day that happens, where does that leave us? I'm not exactly sure.
Hey man, and honestly, for the people that say that, let her live her life and that's her body, and all that stuff's cool. That is, and it's true. I don't care like that. But the overall ramifications of these things is the issue. Like individually, this lady, like I don't really care about this lady. She can pop her thought pocket as much as she wants. It's not going to change how my bowel movements work. But still, what she's doing here is the normalization. And honestly, the dependency of sick people. Now, I'll admit it myself, man. When I was deep diving on, these websites, it was no pride in that. Okay, it was no pride when I was doing certain searches. I was like, man, you really typed that in the search browser? Yeah, I did. But then it's like, hey, man, you gotta get over this. You gotta stop doing this. And so there was a shame on it, even though I was doing it.
Yeah.
So the part I'm trying to get to is that shame or whatever, that's in everybody, I would hope. And they're like, hey man, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing the real thing. And so that whole thing is a sickness that these guys got. We got to work. We got, as men in society, we got to work this out.
Yes.
And so this whole thing here is that, like you said, them creating a family business out of this is basically a dependency that, these sick people will always exist.
Yes.
And so, and my thing is, now, granted, if there's a bro out there, you got 1 or 2 subs, bro. Like, I'm not calling you like a sick person, but what I'm getting at is that you're not a sick person because you have those things. But what I'm saying is sick people be having those things. And, people get to a place where they didn't even know they would be at if they keep going down the line of this addiction. So, dependency on an addiction like this, just women just knowing like, what, if all else fails, I'll just show feet. And that's wild that's the rep of men right now. But they ain't wrong, because this lady here,
Right.
people paying for this.
Yep. Yeah.
This they funding a revolution. Now she gonna fund a podcast for political stuff. So yeah, man, this is wild stuff, man. So I agree with you, man. I look at the overall ramifications of this stuff. I look at the big picture. Individually, this lady can do whatever she can. It's a gold rush now. Get your bag, I guess. Trade it in, trade your dignity in for some cash. I bet that feels good too.
But that's but that's the point. The point that I try to make with this the social reconstruction of it is she and I 100% agree with you, right? It's not about her individually. It's about the greater societal impact of the continued normalization of the behavior. She's an agent of the idea that doing this isn't compromising your dignity. You see what I'm so like?
Yeah.
And so that's the pushing of the envelope that I'm referring to.
Yeah.
It's like this is more so like a prestigious thing to do, or at least that's the idea that they're trying to push, in my opinion.
Right.
Which is why I speak on the idea that this is becoming normalized so much so that it's like another job. Like punch in, punch out. But instead of going to my law firm for a day's work, instead of going to the doctor's office because I'm a PA or a nurse for my day's work, right? Instead of going to my architecture firm because I'm an architect, or instead of going in to, I'm a civil engineer and I work for the state. So like, instead of going to those places to do my earned day's work, my gratifying day's work, I'm going to do this. And the pushing of the envelope is the idea that there's just as much dignity in doing this as being an artist. And I truly, that's how I feel. That's what I feel is happening more and more as these agents continue to flood this market. It's the idea that me doing this carries with it just as much dignity and self-respect as being an architect or an engineer, i.e., there is no loss of dignity. So who are you to talk about me? This is just as dignifying as the next profession. That's the kind of pushing of the envelope that I believe is taking place with this. And the more widespread it becomes, the more trepidatious I am for the broader societal impact of it. And I don't necessarily think that that's such a crazy, unreasonable take to have, because and here's another thing, and this is the last thing I'll say. When you talk about people's inherent narcissism, that's where people are coming from, who want to look at it from an individualized standpoint of, don't judge her, don't judge him. He, she, they can do whatever they want. It's their life, it's whatever. Who are you to judge? You ain't. What are you doing with your life? Who are you to talk about them? They're a grown person. You're a grown person. Why are you talking about them? That's an individualistic way of looking at it. And most people look at things individualistic nowadays because we've lost the art of looking at it from a communal standpoint, because everybody's on constant narcissistic mode due to the instant gratification that their internet feeds give them. So all of these various factors are coalescing into an environment where people like her bring her kids into her activity pridefully. So, it's just a crazy situation. But, I caution anybody to think about whether this is the kind of world that we want to live in 50 years from now. And by no means am I this ultra conservative who wants everybody to walk around with parkas and large dresses on. It's not that. It's just the continued normalization of of the proliferation of the sexual marketplace. That, in my opinion, isn't the best thing in the world.
Yeah, and my thing here, and this last thing I'll say is, my whole thing is I want people to sleep good at night. And what I mean by that is, if this woman here, for example, I want her to sleep good at night. Some people sleep good at night because their bills paid. That's a great sleep. But then there's other things that haunt them. And if there's any type of way that this stuff has negative psychological effects on people, where they can't have relationships the way they want to, or they can't move through life the way they want to because they got all these things going on, then can you sleep at night with that? Because then later on we hear these people hollering and complaining like, this ain't the lifestyle for me no more. I can't connect with people no more. So if you want to trade one for the other, be my guest, And so I don't mind what life you choose. I'm trying to make sure you sleep good at night. So so have at it, Miss Drea. I hope your son sleep good at night from you putting this on his at 13. So that's all I'm caring about. And if he sleeps good at night, hey man, fine. But if he needs a therapist when he's 32, don't get mad at me now. So have at it, y'all. Good luck.
Yeah. Shouts out to BJ Santana for the content.
Yeah,
we
for sure.
appreciate it. And yeah, fellas, man, get off the OnlyFans, bro. Put the OnlyFans down.
Yeah, man, we're trying to help.
Put all of it down, man. Put the streaming sites, just put it all down. Because you're right. The only reason why this chick can even get on OnlyFans and sustain something is because there's a market for it, because so many of us feed the beast. So get off this, man. You put the OnlyFans down, bro. I promise you'll be better off for it.
Yeah, man. Give it up.
Oh. Now we have interesting comments that were made by Jermaine Dupri. Kendrick and Drake continues to be the gift that keeps on giving. Recently, a video clip went viral of Steph Curry before tip-off of an exhibition game. Team USA is getting ready for the Olympics. Steph is on the team, and there was an exchange between Steph and LeBron and some of the other players on the team. And Steph is overheard talking about how tired he is of Kendrick's "Not Like Us." And the clip went kind of viral because, Steph is just like, I'm tired of this song. I'm tired of this song. In response to Steph talking about how tired of the song he is, JD chimed in with his thoughts on why somebody would be tired of that song. So we'll go ahead and play this little snippet here. So basically what JD is saying is, rappers from the past, and I'm guessing he includes Kendrick in this group, used to make music for impact. But nowadays, because no one makes music for impact, fans don't care to listen to music that's made for impact. So you'll get exasperated because you don't want to hear music for impact. And JD is saying the reason why music isn't the same is because no one cares about music being made with impact anymore. So first, this starts off with Steph talking about it. It's the brief clip of Steph, and then it goes into JD's comments.
What up, y'all? Out here getting this walk. I want to say shout out to everybody that came out to the LL Cool J event last night. I learned something, I think, when I was there. And what I think I learned is that the reason why it's no male stars in hip hop anymore that have the impact that LL Cool J.
Uh-oh. Is it just me? Uh-oh. Might have to run that bike. TV. Is it me? It might not be me. Let's see. Nah, it can't be me. Not this time. Maybe next time. I know how Comcast go. So I think he froze. I'm only there it is. So I knew it froze as soon as Drew. We got full panoramic views. So we'll wait for JV Wins to log back in. But shout out to everybody that's been hitting that subscription button, leaving those comments. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully sharing, on your social media platforms. And and following. I gotta put few people that jumped through and followed on the TikToks. So I appreciate all of that good stuff, y'all. But make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe here as we wait for JV Wins to log back on in. But I ain't even gonna get into the topic like that because I got some stuff to say here. But I briefly would say that shout out to Jermaine Dupri with the red sweatsuit, just what I'm saying, walking out there trying to get it in. Shouts out to Kendrick. I am not tired of that song. How can you be tired of Not Like Us? I mean, I don't listen to it every day anymore, but you can't get tired of the song. So shouts out to Kendrick, man. Drake is still spiraling, as we all would say. Every day. I don't know if you guys be paying attention or not, but if y'all in y'all feeds or whatever, y'all be seeing daily Drake is still doing something corny and cheesy, not letting it down. He can't take this L in stride. You know what I'm saying? One thing about a real winner, they can lose with pride. You know what I'm saying? Fix what they done messed up and then get back out there. That's a real winner. Front runners, people that's always got the deck stacked in their favor. Whenever they lose, they don't know how to handle it. That's exactly what Drake got going on right now. That's why he's doing all these shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? So shouts out to JV Wins with that Xfinity. I'm out here in Spectrum Country in Texas. I really can't jive with the Spectrum either. I don't think there's any really good internet out there to keep it a brick. But and shouts out to Steph Curry, man. I guess balling at Team USA. Boy, we need some help for Team USA. And we're gonna talk about that. We got a Team USA topic later, so I'll say that for that too. But yeah, man, hit the like and subscribe, man. Filibustering for your boy. Gerrymandering, as Trina would say. Man, if y'all don't get the reference to that joke, we did a video back in the day where was that Saucy Santana? It was Saucy Santana, and it was Trina made a lewd rap song to promote, I guess, voting, but it was all about the Democratic Party. Oh, hey, there. Hey, I was telling her about the gerrymandering from Trina. So I said I was out here filibustering and gerrymandering. So
I gotta get a new machine.
Hey man, it's all good.
I gotta get a new machine. All right, so wait. First of all, let me back up.
Yeah, we need full sweatsuit, JD, because basically as soon as he started,
man, this thing. Okay, my God, bro. Okay, because when you refresh a tab, it's gonna play the ad. So I don't want to play the ad. I'm gonna make sure I get the ad played first.
Yeah, no free promotions here, y'all. Y'all gotta pay for it. Yeah, man, but I was also saying, like, how can you be tired of Not Like Us, man? Come
on. Apparently, we're gonna get into it. We'll get into reasons as to why that could be. But yeah, I'm not in that camp.
Yeah, man.
I'm not in that camp. But
man, and these websites, bro.
No.
I mean, if these websites ain't harassing me about tracking my cookies, they just throwing up these egregious videos that's just interrupting my scrolling. Like, it's no more honor in the game. Oh man, did you do it again? Yo, this is unprecedented. Now, we may have had one gerrymandering session, but two gerrymandering sessions and one live. Hey man, your boy got it. I think I might share screen this time. Get a little spicy. Let's see here. What are we gonna do? Pull this up. Share that screen. There you go. Share that tab. Now, I don't even want to give that Saucy Santana video any shine, or that Trina video no shine. But what I was gonna get into, since we got the session again. So that video was so egregious. It was basically just like them pandering to black people and just telling them to go vote, specifically like leaning towards Democratic, and which is fine. You can do whatever you want. But the video itself was very minstrel and offensive, basically reducing black people to sexual creatures. And the only thing that they're going to understand is popping a thought pocket for votes. So, yeah, man, I could not believe it. They did that. Now, with Kamala Harris in the seat to be running for president, boy, there's going to be all kinds of tap dancing, step and fetch it, buck dancing. Boy, it's going to be all kinds. For some reason, I can guarantee you, bro, like, clip this. I'll clip it myself. But at some point, Kamala Harris is going to talk about either cornbread, hot sauce. What's another one she would probably bring up? Watermelon's low-hanging fruit. Fried chicken's low-hanging fruit. You got to say cornbread and hot sauce. That's really going to connect with the people. And she might just venture off and say greens, because that's vague. That could be anything. So she might venture off and say green. Oh, hey. Yeah, man.
All right. So listen, I'm going to try this one more time. And if it doesn't work again, then we just going to have to not show it. Because I don't know what the deal is, but my system just does not want to cooperate with this particular thing, and I'm not sure why. But we're gonna go ahead and thug it out and try it again, and hopefully it works this time. Hopefully third time's a charm.
Oh, no, I was like, it was a long. Oh, the plan. There.
What up, y'all? Out here getting this walk. I want to say shout out to everybody that came out to the LL Cool J event last night. I learned something, I think, when I was there. And what I think I learned is that the reason why it's no male stars in hip hop anymore that have the impact that LL Cool J has and had is because the goal in hip hop used to be impact, not sales, not charts, impact. How hard, you could impact the streets, and that's one of the goal. And that's to me is the sole reason why rap is not what rap used to be, because niggas don't care about impacting the streets no more.
All right, so those were JD's comments. We finally got it to play.
Okay, good.
So essentially, what I think he is saying is, the reaction to Steph's "Not Like Us" is emblematic of people no longer prioritizing impact in music. And then he piggybacked off of that thought by saying rap isn't what it is and rappers aren't what they used to be because they don't make music for impact anymore. So I think that's generally what he meant by that. Now he used LL Cool J as an example for artists with impact, but I think that he was grouping Kendrick in with that group in terms of like artists who make music for impact. So what do yeah, I'm with you, Dudley. The whole pause thing is so unnecessary.
Man,
Shouts out to Dudley on the chat. I'm with you, bro. The pause thing needs to end. That wasn't even on my brain, and he just threw that out there. But so yeah, what did you make of that? Like, do you think he has a point with the? Do you think there is a connection there in terms of what Steph said and his overall thoughts about a lack of impact in music or artists making music for impact?
yeah, I mean, I can see that point. At first, I really didn't get where he was coming from, but after reading his caption there, man, he spelled out pause. Can you believe that?
He did.
How old this man is, bro? If we want to start talking about problems in hip hop, let's start there. This guy's 50-something years old, 60 years old, talking about pause. But I agree what he's saying in the sense that Not Like Us is such a monumental moment right now in hip hop that it is being played everywhere by everyone at everything. So yes, you are hearing it a lot to the point where, well, now you're sick of it, even though you like it, you know. And so what JD's alluding to at this point is, well, he's not used to that because there's not that many records out there that are that impactful anymore. You know, probably more just disposable throwaway hits, which we've been experiencing a lot of, honestly. So I can see that viewpoint, but I think the bigger overarching thing here, at least for me, is when this stuff came out, was the fact that Steph Curry can't have a moment of peace. Like, he can't just sit there and have an opinion to himself, you know, amongst his homeboys and say, "Hey, man, I don't want to hear this right now." You know, he can't have that opinion. Now people got to weigh in that Steph Curry don't know what's going on. He ain't part of the new. He's part of the new generation of people who don't get it. Steph Curry is just having an honest moment, which he was entitled to. So that's the part about this that I feel like sucks. That's very invasive. I was like, hey man, let that man have a private moment to not like something that everybody else likes right now. So I'm not going to throw stones at Steph because I get where he's coming from, because at least when I'm scrolling on TikTok or whatever, and you know, I hear, you know, certified lover boy, certified, blah, 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 you know, and it's like, all right, I get it, you know, or anything else, you know, someone saying something, I was like, all right, you know, I get it, you know, I immediately scroll to the next video. So I get where he's coming from that sense of, okay, it's a bit overkill. And I think he's entitled to have that opinion. Everybody has their own overkill threshold. And so it passed Steph's, and he's entitled to that. But I think that, yes, JD does have a point in the sense that there aren't any more impactful records that's like swarming the streets and you hear it in every car booming. You know, that's not really going on anymore. But at the same time, I don't think that's the reason why, you know, Steph was, you know, not feeling it right there. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Sir JD, you know, responding to Steph not Like Us? Well, what are your thoughts?
I think that his overall point is correct, but I think he connected loose dots by connecting it to Steph. I don't think someone who's tired of hearing a song, I don't think that's indicative of people not caring to hear music for impact.
Right.
He can just be tired of hearing it. Like, I remember when Speaker Box The Love Below came out. I swear to God, every 2 minutes they was playing Hey Ya. Like, I couldn't go 5 minutes without hearing Hey Ya somewhere. Like, it was everywhere. Like, that is one of the most overplayed songs in my lifetime listening to music. Like, I can't remember in my life a song that got played more than that one. Now, granted, that whole album was overplayed because The Way You Move got played a lot, you know. But that Hey Ya by Andre 3000, bro, that song got played it was beaten into the ground how much it got played. And this was way back in what, 2000, when did that come out? Like 2001, 2002, something like
I
that.
want to say 2002. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So me saying I'm tired of hearing this song would have literally just been me being exasperated over the fact that I have to hear this song constantly. I don't necessarily think that there's a greater indication of how I don't appreciate songs that make a particular cultural impact. So I think that that's connecting two loose dots. But I think his point is correct. But this is just what happens when this is what happens when something reaches its zenith, right? And then you reach the apex. Now that the apex is reached, everything becomes watered down after that. Music is just one example of that. It's the same with sports. Like, I would say that NBA players today get to sign $300 million contracts largely because of the foundation that was built in the late 80s and the 90s. So like the NBA with Magic and Bird and the Pistons and the Celtics, and then obviously with Jordan, like that situation, many people think that that was the golden age of the NBA, not necessarily because of skill set, but because of how that era was so instrumental in propelling the NBA into mainstream TV sets and living rooms all over the place.
Mhm.
You know, the NBA went from being on tape delay to all of a sudden being this event that you wanted to pay attention to. And obviously when Jordan came along with the Bulls, he took it to a whole nother level. Like a lot of historians, in terms of like studying sports history, they say that it was during that time that the game truly started to become globalized. That's when the world started paying more attention to and taking basketball more seriously. Now you look at the world and you see all of these other teams that have multiple NBA players on them. I was watching Germany play the USA team the other day. There's like 5 NBA players on that team. Between Schroeder, the 2 Wagner boys, that team has like 4 or 5 NBA guys. Like, yeah, now the global game is close to catching up to what we do here in the States. But many people say that that started with what the era ushered in with the late 80s and into the 90s. So from that standpoint, the NBA reached this peak. Now we're at sort of this point where guys are just signing $300-400 million contracts, bouncing around from team to team and just doing whatever, reaping the benefits of being a superstar NBA player that was largely created through the foundation that those previous players helped to establish. So everything reaches its zenith. I would say it's the same thing with music. I think that what we are seeing with music, culturally and musically, is largely a byproduct of what previous generations helped to set up. And for me personally, the era that is a part of setting it up, to me, is the gold standard. So I would say the 90s, like, you know what I'm saying, during the 90s and in the 2000s, they were setting up what a lot of these artists are able to do today. And so for me, because they were a part of institutionalizing the setup for it, I view that as the golden era, the zenith, the peak. And since the peak, you can only go one place, and that's downhill. So I agree with his point that I agree with his general point that music is largely not made for impact, and it's not. Music today is largely, you have a few artists today who care about the true culture of it, not the playful sort of lackadaisical use of the word culture that they sort of use today, but the actual culture where music is meant to stimulate minds and stand for something, and it's meant to have a message that's thought-provoking and say something. That's the true culture of the music. But that was established 15, 20 years ago. And that was when it was at its peak. They're no longer doing that now because they're no longer required to. Like, whenever something, it breaks through, it hits its peak, and after that, everybody can just eat and become fat off of it. And that's just basically what we're seeing. So his overall point is correct. I just don't think that directly tethers to Steph's now indifference towards the song. I think that you can be tired of hearing it because it does get played a lot. It is what it is, but I don't think that means that. I don't think that means by default that Steph doesn't care about music with impact. He can just be tired of hearing it because it gets overplayed. No different to how tired I became over hearing the Hey Y'all song because of how overplayed that song was. So I think that the two things aren't necessarily correlated, but I do agree with his point overall that music isn't made for impact. I mean, but music is no different than movies, sports. It's all the same in that once something reaches its peak, it goes downhill, and all the rest of the people who participate in it afterwards just kind of get to eat and get fat and gluttonous over it.
Yeah, 1,000. And by the way, Speakbox 2003.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's saying, you know, we getting old, bro. All that stuff's starting to be a blur. But yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I just think that this was you know, JD just trying to be relevant, you know, just tying things in that aren't necessarily correlated. But then again, you know, he lives in that world, so he might actually view it that way. And see, there we go again. But again, I haven't caught up. I haven't been aware of much of JD's work. Now I know he did something with Currency. I done heard that. You know what I'm saying? He was doing his thing with that. But as far as him making like the big hits that he used to, you know, I don't know how many big hits he's made, you know, because my thing is when some, like, from us on the outside looking in, from the artist world, you know, because we don't make music, we would say that, yeah, man, you know, make more iconic music, make more impactful music. But you're in there, you're in the industry, you've got all the machines, you got all the connections. Why aren't you making iconic music? Why aren't you producing any iconic music, you know, lately? Now, fill me in if I'm wrong. If you made some hits lately, I don't know. But if it's iconic, I should know about it.
One would assume, yeah, you would assume so.
I would know about it. Yeah. So I don't know. Then let me know. So,
iconic, that's a pretty big word. Iconic is a pretty big word.
Yeah, man. You know? Well, you know, impactful, you know, I don't know. Let me know. So, yeah. So this is my thing with guys like him, man. You know, the game didn't pass you by when you're a producer, you know, so you can still be a fire producer in your 70s or whatever. So age has nothing to do when you're behind the scenes pulling strings. So, you know, I would like to see him do more iconic music. It's not that this was a hit for the reason why it was, and it was saying what it was saying, and it was doing what it was doing. And if JD can sit around and do that, then, you know what I'm saying, let us know and make a big hit yourself. But yeah, man, I just think it's just fatigue, man. If you're on social media, I mean, he's an athlete. They play it after every game. Everybody go crazy. Like, you know, he want to hear something else. And you know, so I don't see anything wrong with that. So I think this is just a little bit you know, a bit of a hot take from JD just so he can get in the algorithms. So so hey, man, you know, and shouts out to LL because he made a side plug for LL. Now that we know LL's on tour, so this was this is a good business venture for JD. Hey, he's slicker than I thought. Yeah. So
yeah. Everything has a peak and a down and a decline. Everything. So I think now, you know, hip hop culture itself, as well as the people who make the music, they're just getting fat. You know, they're just getting fat and gluttonous off of the foundation that was established before. But in my opinion, it has reached its peak and it's now on the decline. How sharp a decline depends on your perspective, but everything has a peak, and then everybody is just eating off of what the, you know, founding fathers were able to create. Like social media, I don't know, you know, depending on who you talk to, social media is going to have its peak and then it's going to have a decline. Everything declines. Everything just can't stay ultra relevant into perpetuity. So everything is going to have its decline. Tech, you know, tech is going to have its day. All of these dating apps, they had their heyday. Everything has a decline. So, you know, it's going to come a time where people are going to look back at social media. I know it seems crazy to think about this now, but there is going to come a time in the future where people are going to look back on social media and they're going to be like, damn, I'm tired of being on these apps. Like that's going to happen at some point. Now we're in a zenith of this stuff and over consumption of it, overindulgence. But in the future, we're going to get to a point where where people are just going to be tired of it. People are tired of it now, but most people are loving it. Most people are loving it. But in the future, there's going to be a time where it's like, I'm tired of this stuff, but it's still going to be relevant, and its relevance in the future is going to be due to people who continue to be able to benefit off of it and leverage it because of what it was able to create for itself when it was at its peak. But the point is that everything hits a peak. Everything hits a peak and then there's a decline. So yeah, artists ain't making music for impact anymore because they don't have to. Now it's just a mainstream form of content that everyone listens to for like indulgence and enjoyment. There is no incentivization for making music with impact. Thus, no one does it. So he's not totally wrong. He's just connecting unconnected dots, in my opinion.
Yep, 100. And yeah, man, shout out to JD. Yeah, man, shouts out to JD, man, and shout out to LL Cool J, who's on tour apparently.
Got a new album out. LL went back in the booth. And in some sports news, Team USA, well, not Team USA, but it was voted upon that LeBron would be the flag bearer for all of Team USA in the upcoming Olympics. It is the first time in history that a men's basketball player is going to be the flag bearer. So this was big news over the course of the last 24 hours. People are talking about it. What an honor and momentous portion of LeBron's career this is, the fact that he is going to bear the Team USA flag at the Olympics. A lot of people are waxing poetically about LeBron as a result, which of course is typical. But this says LeBron James to bear Team USA flag at Paris Olympics ceremony. LeBron James has been voted by his fellow Olympians to be the Team USA flag bearer at the opening ceremony on the river scene on Friday in Paris. I apologize if I said that wrong. I probably did. James is the first men's basketball player to carry the flag for Team USA. Women's basketball players Sue Bird and Dawn Staley previously served in the honorary role. Paris is James' fourth Olympics. He won golds in 2008 in Beijing, in 2012 in London, and a bronze in 2004 in Athens. It's an incredible honor to represent the United States on this global stage, especially in a moment that can bring the whole world together, James said in a statement from London, where Team USA will play its final pre-Olympic exhibition game Monday, which was yesterday, against Germany. For a kid from Akron, this responsibility means everything to not only myself, but to my family, all the kids in my hometown, my teammates, fellow Olympians, and so many people across the country with big aspirations. Sports have the power to bring us all together, and I'm proud to be a part of this important moment. James was nominated for the honor by Steph Curry, who filmed a video supporting the nomination and USA Basketball. We are thrilled to announce LeBron James is one of two flag bearers who will lead Team USA in the opening ceremony and officially open the Paris 2024 Games. U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee CEO Sarah Hirschland said in a statement, "Being selected by your teammates to carry the flag is a tremendous honor and a testament to LeBron's passion for Team USA and his dedication to his sport. We will watch with great pride as the flag bearers lead our athletes who are about to embark on a remarkable journey together. Team USA's woman flag bearer will be announced on Tuesday." So there you go. LeBron is going to be the flag bearer for Team USA. What do you make of this situation, and what do you make of the surrounding commentary around LeBron being the flag bearer for Team USA?
Well, I mean, I think it's about right. Honestly, I think it's about due time that he did something like this. So I don't see anything wrong with it, as far in the sense of him being selected or the the adoration, I guess, that people, or admiration, or whatever they want to give it, towards him getting there. So I don't see any problem with it for that part. And I feel like it fits his life legacy and his narrative very well. And what would have it been like for him not to be a flag bearer at any point in his career? So, because let's be honest, he is the most popular athlete right now, active athlete. So everybody knows who LeBron James is. So I think as far as that goes, as far as him being like, who is the athlete of America, it's LeBron James. So I see that being a good representation from that angle. He has been a good ambassador for the game, at least as far as PR and being out there and doing all that stuff, being a presidential candidate, running the campaign to be the GOAT. And so a part of his campaign of doing that is all the good ways that he's been carrying himself throughout his career, at least perceivably. And he's done that quite well. So I don't see why he wouldn't be given this honor. I'm actually quite surprised. This is the first time he's been at least asked to do it. So, but yeah, I think this is appropriate. I think it's right in line with his body of work. But I want gold. So hopefully he can bring home the gold. But what are your thoughts on the flag bearer getting the opportunity to bear the flag for America?
I think it's cool that he is the flag bearer, and like you, I agree. Who else is it gonna like? If there is going to be a men's basketball player to do it, it would make completely zero sense for it to be anyone other than him. He is the president of the United States in from a international basketball
Correct.
and really sports in general standpoint. He is the dignitary who is most what's the word I'm looking for? It's most befitting of him to do this. Like it makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
He's the most qualified, I would say.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily going to hate on him being the flag bearer in and of itself because it makes the most sense for him to do it. So I think that's kind of cool. But here's what I will say, because there is going to be a but. This is going to be you. Remember, one of the things that I talk about with this LeBron stuff is there is an effort to create categories in order to fill in more.
Yes.
So here's the only thing with this, okay? Here's the only thing with this. All right.
I already know he's going. Go ahead.
When it comes to LeBron, the very pro LeBron media and his talent agency and his agents in the media who speak up on his behalf have for 20 years now been making a very concerted effort to forcefully imply that it is universally agreed upon that he is the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
However, because of the holes in his playing career, juxtaposed to other people like Jordan and Kobe, you have to invent new categories in order to be able to more sternly suggest that that is what he is, the greatest player ever. So what happens? Well, we start to invent new categories. He's played the longest amount of years. He's playing with his son. He's the league's all-time leading scorer. So you start to invent these new categories in order to, suggest on his behalf that he's the greatest player ever. Because the traditional tent poles for this requirement, he somewhat falls short, losing in the finals 5 times and, going 66-16, losing in the second round, getting swept, being the prohibitive favorite and still losing. This is just perception based on what fans say, right? Being propelled to win the finals because of referees and a suspension, and injuries. Although injuries, I'm not willing. I won't include injuries because injuries are a part of the game. But key players being suspended for closeout games, that's a little suspect. Winning in the bubble when you eliminate variables like travel and home court advantage, it's a little suspect. So all of these things factor into one's very viable stance that he's not the greatest player ever. But of course, LeBron fans can't stand the idea that he is not the greatest player ever. So in order to reinforce the idea that he is, we have to invent new categories. I've been saying this for years, and I don't think I'm wrong with saying this, despite what the LeBron fanboys say. So, what is going to be another bullet in the LeBron holster, in the LeBron greatest of all time holster? He was the flag bearer at the Olympics as the first men's basketball player. That's going to be a talking point that people like Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp bring up. 5-10 years from now, when we do another one of these ridiculously exasperating arguments over who is the greatest player ever, people like them are going to talk about how he was the first ever men's basketball player to be the flag bearer at the Olympics for Team USA. And that's going to be used as a legitimate claim as to why he's one of the greatest players ever. Now, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Up until this point in history, gold medals have never really been one of the prerequisites for evaluating GOAT status. It's a nice little thing that people kind of throw in there to sort of wax poetically about a player's career, but it's never really been a part of the equation. Mm-hmm. It's a cool little thing, but is it really a part of the equation? Not really. Kobe has 2 gold medals. No one brings up that when they're talking about Kobe. Jordan has the 1 and 8. Jordan has 2, 88 and 92. No one really talks about that. They just talk about the championships and the career achievements and the MVPs and the final MVPs, so on and so forth. But with LeBron, we're inventing these new requirements, these new categories. We're inventing new qualifiers on the fly. So that's the only thing that I'm saying, is that I fully anticipate Kendrick Perkins, Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, Marcus Spears, all of these LeBron people in the media, Jason McIntyre, he's the guy who's on Cal Hurd's show. These people who just get so like, I can tolerate them otherwise, but when it comes to LeBron, they're just so annoying because they're going to peddle this stuff and they're going to expect people to believe it. And so I'm not really, and so it's crazy. I don't want to poo-poo this, because I do think in and of itself, in a vacuum, it's a tremendous achievement.
Yeah.
But when you start throwing it in my face as this is another reason as to why he's the greatest ever, that's when I'm like, okay, I can't have this conversation anymore. Agreed. And that's what's going to happen. And it's a shame because I don't really dislike LeBron. I hate the LeBron media.
Yeah.
It's the LeBron narrative that I hate, not him.
Correct.
Now, I do think that he feeds into it. He feeds into it because he knows this. He's not an idiot. He knows this stuff. He knows it. But he wasn't the one who created it. The machine created it. And that's what I hate. I rail against the machine. And that's what's going to happen. We're going to start hearing that. You know, when people talk about Jordan and his 6 for 6, they're going to talk about LeBron's longevity, playing with his son, and now he's carrying the flag, amongst the other things that he did to sort of stuff the ballot box on his behalf. So I just want people to be prepared, because truth tellers need to remain firm in the understanding that these qualifiers do not need to be amended and made qualifiers just for the sake of bringing LeBron into the conversation for that stuff.
Yeah, man. You know, they're doing a great job with this campaign, by the way. You know, the younger people are buying it for the most part. So, and they're going to be future people later, and they're going to carry this torch. But I know that there's some real truth seekers out there that really can see that this is all a facade. Now, you had actually cracked the code on this whole LeBron thing in the previous topics. One of the previous topics we were talking about Magic Johnson and Larry Bird bringing the attention, and then Jordan really being the one to make it international. And what the NBA saw from Jordan, his superstar ability, was that he could be the face of the NBA. And then with that, they pushed the NBA globally, and it took off with this cash cow called Jordan. Now, mind you guys, I have my reservations about Jordan too. I was there. So I saw the guy was a phenomenal athlete. and a competitive person winning all that good stuff. But I also saw the favor that he got from fouls, series swinging things that happen here and there. So I saw that too. And the reason being was, well, he's a cash cow. He's got to win. And so same thing they do with LeBron. At least they try. They try to get this boy game. He's still blowing. All right. But look at the free throw discrepancies over the last 3 seasons. The Lakers, they still can't win, shooting over 1,000 more, free throws than their competitors, over the last 3 seasons. It's ridiculous. So, they try with him, and they still do their thing, for him to make things available for him because he's their cash cow. This is why the NBA is always talking about, or ESPN is always talking about, who's going to be the next face of the league. And as we all know, because we had talked about this before, why did the face of the league have to be a domestic person? We clearly have Joker out here going crazy. Luka is international phenomenon. Everybody likes Luka, right? Well, why can't he be the face of the NBA? Why does it have to be Anthony Edwards? Why Anthony Edwards? Because he's the young, upcoming domestic guy. They were trying to do it with Ja, but Ja want to shoot up clubs, allegedly.
And then Jason Tatum, they targeted him. It flips it went from Ja to Tatum, and now it's going to Anthony.
because Tatum wasn't really carrying the torch like that for reasons being, well, he didn't even win MVP on his own team, so that's the reason why, right? Because it wasn't there, so he's not going to be the face of the league. So who's going to be the guy? So they're looking for this domestic person. The reason being is you see what's going on right now with international play, and you see people like the Joker over there doing his thing for Serbia. If he's the face of the league, then Serbia is the face of the league. And we can't have that. We need the face of the league to be Captain America, LeBron James, flying through the air at age 40 years old, defying the laws of physics and Father Time himself. That's what we need for America. Bear the flag, LeBron. And he's going to bear that flag. Who's going to be the next person to carry that torch? So the next person that we're going to start a legacy for, and start a narrative for them. Nobody's taking up the torch, dude. So it's kind of like, in a way, LeBron's like Joe Biden. He's representing an old guard of politicians that they're still pushing through because nobody's really buying the new people. And so he's getting away with this, and that's fine. But like you said, in a vacuum, just for him as a person, hey man, that is cool. So take that, but I think the league has its agendas. That was the point of that whole little thing I was saying there. And I think that LeBron fit the mold of the agenda. That's why we keep getting these GOAT topics. And the next person that's going to be the face is going to be compared to LeBron and Jordan. And that's why they already started the Anthony Edwards Jordan thing already.
Yeah.
And it's premature if you ask me. He's got all the right tools, but let's let the guy grow first. But they're not wasting any time. They need the replacement for LeBron right now. And so that's what all this stuff is about. So LeBron is that guy that's still doing it, literally still carrying the torch. And that's why they love him, invest in him so much, let him get away with so much collusion, and everybody has to deal with it. And that's why us as fans, the purists who are sitting here watching this stuff, seem like we're hating. It's not that we're hating. Like you said, it's the media. Last thing I'll say is that I realized that the media can make me hate a person from Tim Tebow.
Tom Brady was another one.
Yeah, and Tom Brady. But Tim Tebow was first for me.
Yeah.
And when I don't have a reason to like Tim Tebow because he went to Florida. So it's already, but him being a god man and all that stuff, I was like, hey man, whatever, rock out, bro. I don't have a problem with that. But them playing up into that so much. I mean, they basically made him football Jesus for 3 years or whatever it was. Him winning the national championship, it was all in your face every day. Tim Tebow. And then I grew a disdain for this man. But then when he got into the NFL, and then they started hating on him, saying he can't throw. Well, he couldn't throw in college. But he was winning in college, so let the man try to win in the NFL with this ugly stuff. See what happened. And but no, they were just railing on the guy, railing on it. Then it got to the point where I was like, hey, wait a second. So it wasn't the fact that I didn't like Tim Tebow, the person. The media, with all of their hype and all of their garbage, made me look at him different.
Yeah.
And so that's what this whole media. So, and like you said, LeBron does play into it. So it doesn't help at times. And then we will call him a narcissist. you know,
Right.
because he buys into it and he actually believes it at times. So that's the reason with all of this stuff. But yeah, man, I agree. I think this is all media stuff when it comes to this thing. And I think you have a point when it comes to the NBA, you know, propelling, you know, things globally. And that's why I think that him being who he is the best brand ambassador for the league. So they're going to do whatever it takes to make him shine. So
yeah. Yeah, the LeBron media machine is in full effect, man. Now you know I'm on a countdown. Whenever there's some sort of thing that takes place, it's only a matter of time before it is used as a narrative talking point on these various shows to even more bolster his quote unquote legacy, which is another very, very overused word, legacy. But all these things is just new chits in his armor. It literally is like these are just going to be brought up as brand new talking points to fortify the idea that he's the greatest ever. Because long after he has retired, the NBA and the media collectively are still going to be able to benefit, even monetarily, from the continued ongoing discussion of whether he's the greatest player ever. So,
Correct.
the more things that you can use to talk about that, the longer you can spend segments and shows and everything else talking about it and getting people riled up and arguing over it. And
Well
you know, it
played.
is what it is. But in my book, he'll just never be that because it's about career achievement and it's about basketball. I don't care about all of this other stuff. I'll never concede that. And even if it became more of a matter of fact, out of stubbornness, I wouldn't concede it just because of my disdain for what the media has done with this conversation. It's just very annoying.
Facts. 1,000.
Yeah. And conservative pundit Candace Owens is receiving a lot of backlash for she didn't suggest it, she just flat out said that Kamala Harris, it wasn't, I almost said insinuating, but she flat out said that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. So for anyone who has been living under a rock, Joe Biden made it public that he will not be continuing to run for re-election as president. And so it has become apparent that the vice president, Kamala Harris, is going to fill those shoes. There's been tremendous outpouring of support for her over the last few days since that happened. All of this money's being raised, all of these fundraisers and stuff like that, these dollars and donations being taken in to make Kamala Harris best positioned to succeed in ascending to the presidency and defeating Donald Trump in the general election. Candace Owens, who routinely says controversial things all throughout her platform, is now receiving tremendous backlash because she said that Kamala Harris got to this point in life because she slept her way to the top. She literally said that she is thotting through life. And that does not have, and people are not happy with that. People are not happy at all. So this says Candace Owens comes under fire for accusing Kamala Harris of thotting through life. Damn. Candace Owens went off on Vice President Kamala Harris in the wake of the news that she'll likely be taking on Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election. In doing so, she claimed Harris slept her way to the top and recalled her relationship with former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown in the 1990s. The comments have been receiving ample backlash on social media. She was with some 60-year-old man, got her start in the political career, Owens remarked, as caught by All Hip Hop. From there, she described Harris as thotting through life while citing a Daily Mail article. She describes Brown as being married and in his 60s at the time, while Harris was just a spring chicken. Reuters has previously reported that despite being legally married, Brown had long been separated from his wife at the time. Expectedly, the comments have been receiving tons of backlash online. I hear Candace Owens is trashing VP Kamala Harris for her relationship to San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, one Twitter user shared. Brown has been separated from wife over 40 years and has often gone to galas with his girlfriend on one arm and his wife on the other. Can't dig up any dirt, Candace. All another user wrote. Not Candace Owens saying Kamala slept her way to the top when Miss I can't get a decent stylist married her husband after only 2 weeks because he was fame adjacent. So here is what Candace Owens had to say. I might have to click to another link, but we'll see.
So they understand that.
All right, so I think we're good here. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and play this. These are the comments in question.
Will look really bad if they do not lean in to saying that they really do want Kamala. But even that feels a bit performative to me. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm starting to see articles creep out and they seem like attacks on Kamala. Again, if we can go into our time machine and go back to 2020, well, every time that someone tried to interject the truth about Kamala, which is that she slept her way to the top, it's a fact. She was with some 6-year-old man, got her start in the political career. And they would go, oh my gosh, how dare you say this? That's so sexist. Well, then suddenly on July 6th, the Daily Mail actually published a headline about the fact that Kamala Harris was, thoughting through life. And they basically said she got her political start because she was dating this guy, Willie, can't think of his last name right now. And he was married and he was in his 60s and Kamala Harris was just a spring chicken. And that is how she entered the political scene. So she was not somebody who was a part of their ecosystem, but they tapped her in 2020 because they were like, oh, like the thing that we always say is that look at the Republican Party, it's so white and there's no diversity. And how are we going to be able to say that if we're running Joe Biden, who has been extraordinarily wealthy his entire life and whose son is becoming extraordinarily wealthy while smoking crack simply because he's doing dirty deals in Ukraine? So what are we going to do? We're going to hire Kamala Harris. We're going to select Kamala Harris to be the vice president. And he's the only person I can think of. And then we can sell. I know that when she was sworn into Congress, she was talking about how she's an Indian, but we'll just sell the people, like, forget the Indian side. Like, now she's back to black. And the streets are talking, ha, 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 ha. And that's what they did. So that is the only reason that Kamala Harris, they literally did not have another person that they felt could be the vice president and allow them to use the isms. You don't like her, you're a sexist. You don't think that she's amazing, you're a misogynist, deep-seated misogyny. You don't want this ticket to win. Is it because Kamala Harris is black? Kinda. I feel like it is. It's because you're a racist. So they just needed her to do the thing.
All right. So there you go. Goes on to say, so here was another commenter. Wow, here comes the right in full attack mode. Candace Owens says Kamala Harris slept her way to the top as she reacts to Joe Biden dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. The story comes after Joe Biden announced he won't be seeking re-election in the upcoming presidential race in a statement on Sunday. Instead, he endorsed Harris to run in his stead against Donald Trump. So a lot of people don't like what she said there. A lot of people do not like her saying that she slept her way to the top, that she thought her way through life, so on and so forth. They are not appreciating that at all. What do you make of what Miss Owens had to say there?
Hey, man, listen. Candace Owens normally has a lot of spicy takes. She doesn't really know how to do it with chill. And the ones that tend to go viral and hit the waves, I tend to agree with a lot of them. Now, I did watch some of her content before, because I was like, well, I agree with her so much. But then I watch what she do as a whole thing. And it's like, all right, you lost me there. But the ones that go viral, much like this one here, I really don't see anything wrong with it. And here's why. Because when all of this stuff was going down for the last election where she was the vice president, and they was just running as them being candidates, Judge Joe Brown, one of my favorite internet personalities right now, he called this out. And he said, because he was on that scene, he was in California, he's in the judicial system, so he knew people. He was in the, courts and all this other stuff. So he was familiar with her and how she got down, putting a lot of African Americans behind bars. And but he also saw her scandalous behaviors as a socialite. And so he was making that stuff well known back then. And for it to resurface now, I'm not surprised because I've heard other, murmurs about this. So to me, this is not out of pocket for her bringing it up. Now, saying thought and through life. Now that's pretty wild. But it's it's catchy, because part of her job is for engagement farming. So she's around here saying the spicy things to get people riled up. But I mean, for the most part, I agree with it. I don't see anything wrong for stating facts when it comes to her past, if it is indeed true. Like, who knows, right? So allegedly, we'll say she did that. but yeah, I tend to think that, if somebody out there really, besides just vouching for the person because she's just because she's a woman or she's a part of whatever party, if it's a thing where what does she ever say? What does she say? What does she stand for? Who is she? And every time that I hear her speak, it's her cackling, laughing, or her saying a whole bunch of words that really was just a word salad. She didn't say anything. So I really don't know what she does. And I think that's the overall point from Candace Owens, at least, is that, how does somebody like Kamala make it all the way up there? When you're not, because there's people got college professors they know that are more polished, well-spoken, and know more about politics. But she made it to be president. This lady made it to be president. So it's not the fact that, anybody's hating on her because she's a woman or anything like that, a woman of color, or any of those things. It's because we know what impressive is. And I'm not impressed by this woman. So how did this non-impressive woman get to the point to where she might get voted president of the United States? So there's going to be rigmarole, much like this, that pop up and say, well, she was starting her way through life. Because honestly, if she was an impressive person, people wouldn't even be asking that question. But people are asking questions like, who is she and how did she get here? Because she's been uneventful the whole time as vice president. She's been nothing but a meme. So now she's going to be our president. It's wild stuff, man. So I don't blame Candace Owens for calling her out on this, man. I know Candace Owens get a bad rap in our community, but hey, man, she be dropping facts. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Miss Candace Owens saying that Kamala Harris started her way all the way to the top? Is she out of pocket for that?
I think that's strong. That's strong. Yeah, I don't have as much of an issue. So Candace Owens is a hit or miss with me.
Mm-hmm.
When she's talking about traditional family values, I usually rock with her when she talks about the importance of preserving traditional family values.
Mm-hmm.
When she talks about things like, pornography being an element that weakens men's position in society, I'm usually rocking with her on that. When she talks about that, I agree with that. When she talks about how some of these, social programs that they're trying to institute, like in public schools, being out of bounds, I'm usually rocking with her on that. But with this kind of stuff, I feel like she's just being a flamethrower and she is attempting to expose something that an opposer of hers can very well play the same card for her. Because everything that you just said is true, but one can make the same argument about the Trump guy. I didn't know that I did not know that Donald Trump was a serious presidential candidate until he showed up on the ballot, quite honestly. Like, I'm looking around like this guy went from being a shisty real estate person to a guy on a reality TV show, and he's going to be president. How the hell did that happen?
Right.
So his ascendancy to me made zero sense. What is it about his record of public service that makes him having that job make sense? Agreed. I didn't get that. So that to me made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Yet here we were, and he won. So I'm just like, how the hell does it happen on either side? How does that happen? So for her to bring that up about Kamala Harris, okay, fine, if you want to go there, whatever. But one can do the same thing about your guy. How the hell did this get? How the hell did he get there? You know, and the point that you made about, well, the things that you expressed about people ascending to this point with no glaringly obvious prerequisites that would suggest they belong there is what has people exasperated with this entire process to begin with. Because what I think the political apparatus has done, in my opinion, is they have pulled an immaculate inception right in front of people's very eyes, and they've turned it from a matter of policy into a fisticuffs over identity politics.
Yes.
So from that standpoint, what Owens is saying in her clip is true. I just think she did it in poor taste by juxtaposing it to Kamala Harris thoughting her way through life. Like, in my opinion, that was in poor taste. But if you remove the juxtaposition, what she's saying is not incorrect. Like, yes, that is something that is in play, but it goes on both sides. I'll give you an example. So if you express any sort of dissenting opinion towards Kamala Harris, Owens is right. You're going to have to deal with assertions, right? You're going to have to deal with assertions that you may hate women, that you hate black people, that you are a sexist, that you are like a hater, you're a hater who wants to take America back 400 years. So if you dissent against her, you have to combat the assertion that you are closeted, identifying as any one of these isms. That, in my opinion, is unreasonable, because you might just have a reasonable dissension towards her being in that position. But it goes on the other side too. If you are against one of these ultra conservative policies that they're trying to push through, you have to fight claims that you're like an ultra socialist, or you're some kind of anarchist that wants to see the world just devolve into chaos and a society where there's a lack of rules. So it goes on both sides. Like, if I say anything towards Kamala Harris, then I must hate women, or I hate black people, or the double whammy, I must hate black women. Or if I dislike something that's going on the other side, then I must be a socialist. So that's the point about this whole thing. People are tired of the identity stuff. Like, people are tired of the symbolism. They're tired of the identity politics. Like, keep us out of World War III and put money in people's pockets. That's what people want to know. People want to know how are you going to keep us out of conflict,
right?
And how are you going to put money in my pocket?
Right.
That's what people care about. All of this other stuff. Oh, okay, and stuff like pro-choice, women's rights, I guess that's a big deal too. So I don't want to gloss over that. But it's critical things like that that people really care about. But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about all of these ancillary, arbitrary themes like threats to democracy and preserving democracy. Like, those things are all wonderful talking points. But what people really care about is get rid of this damn inflation. I'm tired of going to the grocery store and spending $150 on my grocery list, or spending $3.85 for a gallon of regular gas. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what people are tired of. That people are tired of having their car insurance premiums hiked $50 every time their renewal comes up, despite the fact that they have a perfect driving record. So the people on the streets, they want to know, how are you going to fix that madness? But we're getting sort of inundated with all of this identity stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah, fine. Like, yeah, we want to be post-racial. Racism is bad. Sexism is bad. What else? Hatred, misogyny is bad. All of these things. Okay, I agree. All of this stuff is bad. But at the end of the day, put money in my pocket so that I can put a roof over my head. And once I have a roof over my head, I'll have the time to deal with all this other stuff. Now, the political world and these geniuses in the political ivory tower that host these shows, they don't want to hear that because they feel like you should care about all of that other stuff. But the people on the ground who live paycheck to paycheck, who are literally waiting until their next paycheck comes in to pay all of their bills, and then they're counting how much money is left to know whether they can afford to send their kid to summer camp, or whether they can afford their daughter's ballet lessons, or whether they can afford their son's basketball shoes. They want to know about that stuff first. But they're getting beat and clubbed over the head with this identity politics, and that's what people are tired of on both sides. On both sides. So like Candace Owens is like, I feel like Candace Owens, because she's conservative, is speaking to the redirect of focusing on identity politics from her side. And she's not wrong with that. But the other people on the other side can do the very same thing. They can say that the people on the right are dealing with these, are focusing hyper focusing on redirects to make the conversation about identity politics that favor them. So it's just bullets flying around both sides, and people are just tired of the BS. So, you know, I think that she was in, like I said before, I think she made a juxtaposition towards Kamala in poor taste, just to sort of make her seem like this slanderous, loose moral person that now might become president. And whatever works, because these days that's what politics are, is just mudslinging. But what she said in a vacuum isn't totally wrong. People are tired of this stuff. Like, just fatten people's pockets, get rid of these ridiculous taxations, reduce the wealth gap, give people chances and opportunities economically, and then we can focus on all of that symbolic stuff later.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, bro. But and especially the part with identity politics, because at this point, you know, everything has become such a brand, and everything is about what that candidate represents instead of what they are going to implement. And so what she represents is a woman of color, and you know, whatever. And then yeah, man. And then she's gonna come out here, and I was saying this while I was filibustering earlier, but you know, mark my words, bro. At some point, she's gonna talk about cornbread, hot sauce. I said that chicken and watermelon is too low hanging fruit. Like, she would offend people with that. But if she talks about cornbread, if she talks about greens, yeah, she's gonna say stuff like that, especially you know, the closer we get to Thanksgiving and stuff like that. She's gonna say things like that. She's gonna do dances to Black people songs. She's gonna come out twirling to who knows. The DNC thing is gonna be a hip hop concert, and she's gonna be out there jigabooing it up. And so I don't have time for this. And honestly, I was laughing at all of this stuff at first, because, you know, I like to get a good laugh out of this. But now I'm starting to get a little concerned. I was like, whoa, wait. I said, whoa, y'all reduce. First of all, Sleepy Joe was like, whatever, bro. Like, I mean, I would at least laughed at the gaffes. But now, because at least, and I don't like the way the country was being run anyway, but I was like, at least it's going to be run kind of the same. So whatever, you know, catch my footing if he wins. So I'll still laugh at stuff. But now it's like Trump or this lady, and this lady, I don't even know what she does. Like I said, like, I don't even know what she stands for. Every time I hear her speak, like, I know how politicians, you know, talk. You know, they say a whole bunch of nothing, but her whole bunch of nothing is just, to me, it's next level. It's like, it's really airhead stuff. And that's why I said I'm not impressed by this woman. Like, she's not impressive to me. At least Hillary Clinton could talk about stuff. You know, even though she wasn't going to implement nothing she was talking about, at least she had stuff she can run out of her mouth and say to make it seem like she know about politics. But this lady here, she just be talking. So I can't get with that, man. Like, so at this point, they're really just picking figureheads. So one thing the conservative side did is they picked a good guy. Like you said, how did he make it? Well, they picked a good person to represent what they do and what they stand for. And we had Sleepy Joe up there. And then now they're going to put this lady there, and so now it's like, oh, well, now with their side of the fence, this is not really much of a candidate. That is she what y'all represent? Is she what you guys stand for? But I think so. It's just because, and that's what she was talking about, just because she's a woman and she's a minority and all this other stuff, and that's it. So you gonna vote for that and not be a racist and not be a misogynist? Because how dare you? Or you gonna vote for the racists? So yeah, that's what they basically did, man. And last thing I'll say is that, this stuff really, and it's the reason why it's concerning is that I think people are buying both sides. Like people are really buying the conservative side aggressively, and the liberals are buying it aggressively. And I don't know what's going to happen with this election, because I think either side, when they lose, it's going to be a powder keg of some type.
Yeah.
And that's the part about this that's becoming alarming to me. That's the part about this is not funny anymore, especially when they introduced violence not too long ago with the ear prickling of Trump. So I don't know where things are gonna go with this, but it's starting to not become funny. It started, like I was saying to somebody earlier, like, a sitcom, like all this stuff to me is a sitcom. But now some of the stuff that's going on in the storyline, it's like, hey, this is like it's winding to the series finale. It's not even funny anymore. It's starting to get a little too serious. And this is how it ends normally. So
it's like one of those episodes of Family Matters where the first 25 minutes were funny, and then they had to tone it down and give you that sympathetic music so that they can get to the last portion of the episode.
Yeah, man.
It's not funny anymore. It's just become cringe and sad.
Yeah,
man. And I'm fearful of how dangerous things can potentially be.
Yeah.
Because it's gone. And I'm not advocating on either side. I am saying that these extremities are taking place all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's extreme fear mongering on either side.
Yes.
We're either going to enter into a dictatorship, or we're going to enter into a highly taxed, no rules, high spending, big government. Like there's just fear mongering going on every side, when like everything that we discussed, the truth is somewhere in the middle. And at the end of the day, most reasonable people who are not the smartest or most astute when it comes to politics just want to know how their everyday lives, mainly from a monetary standpoint, are going to be improved. Because one thing's for sure, you can believe that people need to be more like involved and conscientious when it comes to things like Project 2025, for example, is a big thing going around. Lately, I've been doing a lot of research learning what that means. So you can all day long, you can wax poetically about how important it is for people to be conscientious about stuff like that, conscientious about certain, matters of symbolism and various other things. But at the end of the day, most people sensibly want to be able to thrive on a day-to-day basis economically, because then they can sit back, take a breath, survey the landscape, and when they're not so overly concerned with how they're going to keep lights on, pay bills, or maintain discretionary income, then they have the bandwidth to focus their efforts on some of these other things that you think are just as important. But man, like if a person is, if people are trying to raise a family paycheck to paycheck, and they can barely afford mortgages or rents, the housing prices are just through the roof. People can't afford to buy houses, rent apartments. You know what I'm saying? You got landlords out here who are demanding 800 credit scores, 750 credit scores. Like stuff is crazy out here for working class people. And working class people don't have time to think about all of this other stuff. I'm telling you, like all of the people on CNN and MSNBC and Fox, all the smart people, They don't want to hear this stuff. But I'm
Mhm.
telling you, people will vote with the quickness for a person who they think is a racist, but is going to put money in their pocket before they go the other way. Now, you might not like that. You might not like that. And I'm not advocating for that. I'm not saying it's the best thing. I'm just saying pragmatically, that's what people do.
Yeah.
They will vote for somebody who is a flaming racist, who is going to put more money in their pocket before they vote for the person who's going to be like, oh, we are the world. We represent the future of what the country's supposed to be, but we still going to have you out here struggling economically on a day-to-day basis. That's what people are going to do. So these people out here who are actively involved politically, they just want to know how you're going to fix that. That's what they want to know. Give me your blueprint for how you're going to deal with this. And most people who are reasonable are tired of it because they're not hearing a plan for that in either direction.
Correct. Nobody talking like that.
Yeah, no one is. And people are just over it.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000, man. So we'll see how this pans out, man. But hey, I agree with Candace Owens with this. Thought is a strong word, but I get a good kick out of it when I hear her say it. So to me, it was all fair. But these are all allegations. Who knows what's really going on? But I do question where she comes from and how she got here. Because as again, I'm not saying a woman can't run the country. You do whatever, but I know there's more impressive women than this. And I don't see why she's there. So best of luck to everybody, myself included. Because when this went down, man, I said, man, we're really screwed, bro.
It's gonna be crazy, bro. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. You're gonna have people in the comments who are going to list everything she's ever done because they think that you're just out of pocket for saying that she shouldn't be there.
That's fair.
They're gonna be like, she did this, and this. They gonna come out of the woodwork on that, but I don't know. I just think people are exhausted, and I don't blame them. I'm exhausted. I think reasonable people who are not extremists and they just want to hear a carefully laid out plan that's gonna fix this. Whatever. We'll move on to the next topic. I already said what I want to say, but people are just tired of it at the end of the day. Speaking of somebody else who's dealing with some heat, Gilbert Arenas is also dealing with backlash. This is the backlash.
Yeah.
This is the backlash edition of Conscious Approach this week. A lot of people going through backlash. Gilbert Arenas is also experiencing backlash because he is being accused of being xenophobic because he was making fun of the South Sudan team because of how close the game was. So Team USA are playing a series of exhibition games to get ready for the Olympics. And one of those exhibition games was against South Sudan. And it was a close game. Team USA almost lost. They won by 1 point. LeBron drove to the basket with like 8 seconds to go in the fourth quarter and ended up securing the game for Team USA. This final score was 101-100, I believe. And Gilbert Arenas being Gilbert Arenas, he's kind of a funny, goofy type guy on the internet. He, was kind of making fun of the South Sudan team. And he was really going at Team USA because he felt like they had no business being in such a close game. But in doing so, he kind of said certain things that got people riled up and up in arms, and they feel like he was being very disrespectful and xenophobic towards South Sudan. So this says Gilbert Arenas criticized for a xenophobic reaction to Team USA and South Sudan game. Gilbert Arenas is facing widespread criticism after making xenophobic remarks in connection with Team USA proceedings. As you've no doubt seen by now, Arenas made the comments in question while reacting to the recent game between Team USA and South Sudan. The former ultimately emerged victorious, though the game was a close one at 101-100. Almost lost to some Africans, Arenas said at one point in the clip, making the rounds. Later, Arenas said the team almost lost to the Ahi Ahi tribe, calling the situation crazy. He also said that Joel Embiid was goddamn throwing the game for his cousins and shit. At one point, the 1993 film Cool Runnings was referenced. So that's more of Gilbert's quotes there, but as you can see, the reaction was very strong in opposition to what Gilbert had to say. Here is, let's see some of these reactions. So there are conservative talking heads who put serious man hours into being as racist and possible that don't sniff Gilbert Arenas at 10 a.m. on a Monday. Gilbert Arenas' ignorance / xenophobia is truly next level. The insensitive, ignorant, xenophobic, and offensive remarks about the South Sudan basketball team made by former NBA player Gilbert Arenas are completely unacceptable. The disrespect the South Sudan team has faced is truly disturbing and is disgusting. So yeah, people don't like what Gilbert had to say here. Here's another one. Gilbert Arenas is being ignorant and xenophobic for one of three reasons. One, he's just an asshole. Two, he wants clicks and engagement. Three, he's an asshole who wants clicks and engagement. And here's another one. Gilbert Arenas is a special type of ignorant, self-hating clown. This is why the European power structure is so successful, because it programs people with minds like Gilbert Arenas to exhibit the same type of hate and racist rhetoric for your own people that the oppressors, I'm assuming it goes on to say, used to do for some time. So here is the Gilbert Arenas video. It's a short clip. Here's what Gilbert said. No, not that one. Let's go back up to the original embed.
No,
Yeah,
that's
so
like hit the replay button.
Well, I might have to just go to the TikTok and just play it from there. Yeah.
Okay.
Because Lord knows, if I might try to refresh this tab and it'll crash my computer again. Ain't nobody got time for that. All right, so it's loading up right here, so we'll get right into it. Once it finishes doing its thing. So here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and kill this one, and then I'm gonna share the other one.
You. He tried. Whoa.
All right, so here's Gilbert going in on how the Americans almost lost to South Sudan. This is what has people everywhere going ham on him, accusing him of xenophobia.
We got the males almost lost to some Africans. Yeah, we almost lost to them. And the king had to save us. I know the haters are mad. We almost lost to the Ahi tribe. This is crazy. Man, Embiid over there, goddamn throwing the game. He throwing the game for his cousins and shit. We're supposed to be losing to air up there. Come on, man. Cool Runnings. We're not supposed to lose to the Cool Runnings team. They don't even have shoes. They get their shoes from America. We got to ship them shoes. They don't even have basketball rims, though. Manubo, I seen he had to walk, an hour and a half to go shoot basketball. We lose it to people who don't even, they got baskets in the back. They shooting on fucking peach baskets in dirt, no shoes.
Yeah, so yeah, Gilbert, I think the original article that I pulled up before I closed it out said that Gilbert has not at this point issued an apology, which I thought was kind of funny. Like, that's an expectation now, is to wait on the apology. I thought that was very funny that the article said that. The article wasn't being funny. I just thought that was funny.
Right.
But what do you make of Gilbert's comments there, and then the reaction to what he had to say? You know, people going in on him that he is, racist, xenophobic, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with those comments that were backlashing him. It was ignorant and closed-minded-ish, asshole-ish. and yeah, ignorant again. I get where he's coming from in the premise of it, but if you don't have, because they was interviewing the coach after the game, and he was like, man, they don't even have indoor courts in their country.
Right. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even have indoor courts. So, him making fun of the fact that, they play on dirt, with no shoes and shooting on peach basket. Yeah, that's true. And you lose to people that want it. You lose to people that are actually hungry. And those guys prove that they are. And one thing about it, man, basketball is a lot about genetics. All them dudes was 7 feet tall, bro. I said, golly, boy, they all like Durant. It's like a team full of Durants running around there. And they were hitting jumpers, they were doing everything, man. So even though it's whatever, Team USA, hey, I was cheering for those guys. I really wanted them to win that game. And I'm gonna keep that 1,000. So I was proud of them. And once I heard that they've only been independent for like 13 years and they just getting it together like that, the future's bright for them or any other African country, honestly, that want to, pick up basketball and get into it. And, that time and energy used to play, football or soccer. Some of these guys are turning to the basketball court. And I've seen these guys, play full runs and on clay in Africa on TikTok. Like I see there's people out there that's really, I think they know what them checks look like and they're trying to get to the league in America. And so there's a few guys on there on the South Sudan team that are in the league or two, I know two for sure, JT Thor was balling.
Yeah, Jones, he's the G League player of the year or something like that. What?
Jones, JT Thor and Gabriel. And they were all balling. And so, but those guys would be considered dust in the NBA. And that's the stuff that I don't like. And we had a topic about the NBA before where I was like, hey man, you gotta give some of these guys minutes and opportunity. Because if you do, this guy can average, 15, 8, and 6 if you let him. But you only give him 5 minutes off the bench. Only when somebody is load managing. So you don't know if he can really hoop or not, or nobody knows they can really hoop or not. But what happens during this international play is those guys that be on the end of the bench that are internationals, when they're playing for their team, they be dropping 30, going crazy and beating the US or giving them everything they can handle by themselves. So when you have these all-world athletes that's supposed to be greater than the dream team, it's laughable. But they can play and spin the narrative of the world has gotten better, which it has. But if the world has gotten better, but we've always been good and we've had the head start, we should be still better, like laughably better. But I think there's something missing with today's basketball. And I think it shows when we play internationals who are hungry, guys who actually want it versus guys who feel like they only have to just show up and lace them up because they're just that nice. And I think that's what happened and they got humbled. So as far as what Gil was saying, that's how you lose to guys. That's how you lose to guys who play on sand, is that they're actually hungry. And as far as the xenophobic angle, man, he's just being, typical middle school ignorant. We used to joke like that when we was in elementary school, man. Like then I grew up and realized how insensitive that was. And then you don't move like that. You don't talk about a group of people that can't change them circumstance like that. But for him to think that that's funny that they don't even have shoes, that we have to send them shoes, that just shows how out of touch that he is really. So man, tisk on him on that, but he's been doubling down. There's been people calling him out, and he be in a comment section going live saying, "Air up there, we almost lost the air up there." So he's still doubling down. So he, Gil's just being him, the internet personality. But I don't like it. He is. I don't stand for that. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Sir Gil and his xenophobic rant in air quotes? Do you buy that, or you feel like he was just, tongue in cheek?
I buy that. I buy that. The criticism that he's receiving is is justifiable. I do. I'm not mad at that, but I'm also of the belief that when he was saying that, he didn't even know what he was doing. Like,
He's that oblivious.
bro, Gilbert is not really like a worldly guy like that. You know,
Yeah.
like if God rest his soul, if Kobe had done this, it would be far more egregious to me because Kobe was like worldly and spoke different languages and he kind of knew stuff. You know what I'm saying? Studied really. Gilbert doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. Gilbert probably doesn't even know what the word xenophobia means. That may sound like an insult. I'm just saying the guy very well may not even know what xenophobic means. So when he was doing that, he didn't even know what he was doing because he's just an internet troll. Like if you watch Gilbert's show, he spends a lot of time trolling.
Yeah.
They spend a lot of time talking about, Instagram models, players getting caught up with thoughts, sex workers, strippers, so on and so forth. They put people on there like what's the guy who he played for UNC? Oh, what's his name?
McCants?
Yeah, Rashad McCants. There you go. They got people like him and Brandon Jennings on there. And the stuff that they be talking about is like real low-hanging fruit. So yeah, the criticism in terms of like, kind of teaching him a lesson from a social media troll standpoint of, hey man, this is not gonna fly. That's something that's worth its salt, granted. But in terms of reprimanding him in a disciplinary fashion, there's nothing that's going to be done there because he's Gilbert and Gilbert does this stuff. Gilbert is a former player turned troll. Like that's what he does with his show. He trolls current players, former players, people around the situation. That's just kind of what he does. So he's kind of playing the part. Gilbert reminds me of the comedian who used to do stand-up 10 years ago and the jokes were funny and people would clap. And if he were to try to do that same stand-up routine today, he'd get booed off stage for being inappropriate. And he just doesn't understand how to adapt his comedy to a more politically correct climate. He strikes me as one of those people. He just doesn't know how to adapt in that way. He's just going to be that way for forever, for as long as he is a media personality, because he just trolls. If he would have not been so comedic with what he said and just would have been analyzing it from a basketball standpoint, like just kind of reasonably saying, I feel like we should have beat him by 40 because in terms of resources and infrastructure, they're nowhere near what we got going on.
Right.
They don't have any indoor facilities. They don't really have the means to have their own shoes. Their equipment is subpar. They play outside on peach baskets. Like if he would have just not used the racial undertones, the spitballing and the
that was too much too, man.
Like he took it over the top with that. But that's what shock jocks do.
Yeah.
Howard Stern style. What's the guy? Don Amos, the guy who said nappy-headed hoes. Don Imus, there you go. The nappy-headed hoes guy. That's what they do. They put a little extra oomph in there for shock value. As far as I'm concerned, Gilbert Arenas is a shock jock.
Unbelievable.
He's an NBA podcast shock jock.
Unbelievable.
So he is someone who ought not to be taken seriously when it comes to comments like that, albeit I do understand the pragmatism behind the public reprimand. So I'm not shading it either way. I'm just saying it's not like he's a political scientist or something. He's just a former player who now has a podcast. So it is what it is. But, I don't really have a basketball take with this, but I will say that, Team USA, and this is why I balk at the idea, because people are saying that this is the most talented team ever. Like it's better than 92 and it's better than 2008. I think the names on paper suggest that may be true. But in terms of the way that they play together, the fit, I don't think that this team is better than the Dream Team, nor do I think that it's better than the team in 2008. I think the only team that can compete with the 92 Dream Team is the team in 2008, because you still had a prime Kobe and you had people who knew how to play from a IQ standpoint, who come from the old school of playing the game the right way from a fundamental standpoint. Bosh, Wade, LeBron, people like that. Even Carmelo. Now you got Jason Tatum, people like Tatum, Devin Booker. These are the new age AAU basketball: dribble, sidestep, pull up, three, step back. These are those guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Those guys don't really lend themselves towards fundamentally sound team basketball. So yeah, the team is going to have some bumps and bruises, but I expect fundamental. Like, from a fundamental standpoint, I think that just off of the strength of the talent alone, they're going to win. I don't see a team beating them necessarily. It's just every game's not going to be a blowout. And if you go back and look at them Dream Team numbers, they were blowing people out by 60 points. Like, and that's what I'm not trying to go on and on.
Right.
But people really need to go and do some research. Fact check yourself before you want to wholly believe in what these people on TV are telling you, that this is the best team ever. Because thus far, in terms of point differential, this team is not even close to the Dream Team. No. The Dream Team, they were blowing people out by 50, 60 points every game. And those weren't prelims. That was the Olympics.
Right.
So we'll see what happens when the actual games that count start. But if these games are a difference of 10 points, 12 points, 15 points, 8 points, don't come to me with they're better than the Dream Team. Oh, but the world is caught up and the world is better. I don't want to hear that.
That's what they're going to say. That's what they're going to say.
I know that that's what they're going to say, but that is not enough to explain the difference between 50, 60 point blowouts and 10 point blowouts. I don't want to hear that. So y'all can have your fun with trying to throw that down my throat. That's another LeBron argument. This is the best dream. This is the best team ever, and all of this other stuff. Whatever. I think 2008 is better than this team, and I think 2000, and I of course think 92 is better from a fit and fundamental standpoint. The AAU, modern day Nike League, no fundamental, just drills upon drills upon drills player may not necessarily be suited for Olympic play, which is why I didn't blame Grant Hill for replacing Kawhi Leonard with Derek White. Because maybe from a talent standpoint, Jaylen Brown should be on the team.
Right.
But it's about, these teams are fundamental you to death.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they'll get out there and they'll shoot the lights out. They'll hit you with them fundamentals. They'll get you on a low block. The court is smaller, so the 3-point shot isn't as deadly as it is in the NBA game. So it's like, you want to have a team who checks every box: skills, size, strength, speed, athleticism, as well as fundamentals and IQ. So we'll see what happens when the real games start. But I don't think that this team thus far has given me any indication that it's better than 08 or 92. But to take it back to Gilbert Arenas, he's a troll. Was he being xenophobic and inappropriate? Sure. But what are you going to do? Cancel Howard Stern? That's his place in this ecosystem, to be Mr. Inappropriate shock jock guy, to just get his attention off of shock value.
Yep. 1,000. And that's a good comp, man. I knew that in the recesses of my mind, but for you to put it like that, it's like, yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. And he knows that. That's why even on his platform, when he's podcasting or whatever, it's a real sensible debate at points. And then it just gets into these shouting matches.
Yeah.
That's like, look, I don't have time for this. First of all, this debate was already going off the rails when y'all were calm. I don't want to hear this when y'all yelling. So, but people check in for that. I be seeing laughs in the emoji, people rolling. They think this is great content. So he leans into that. And the internet is perfect for Gilbert. This is a perfect playground for him, and he's having a ball with it. So yeah, man, I agree with you. This is nothing to this guy. He will continue to do more of this. And again, man, you can't cancel somebody that don't see themselves as being cancelable.
That has already canceled themselves. Correct.
So he don't care. Yeah, man. But yeah. Shout out to South Sudan, man. Very proud of those guys. for putting up a valiant effort and looking the part. They were playing very well out there. So shout out to them.
Yeah, and they wanted it, man. They wanted it. What's up, Ray from Flint, man? Shouts out to you as well. Salute, brother. He chimed in on the chat. He said salute to you all. Salute to you as well, brother. Appreciate you a lot, man. But yeah, Gilbert's a shock jock, bro. He's a shock jock. So he's going to do shock jockey things, and then the internet is going to do what the internet does and responds, because the internet always needs their retribution.
Yeah.
There's always need to be, we always need to call out the racists and the phobics and the sexist. At all points in between, they always need to be called out. So we almost do it mechanically nowadays. It's like, it's a mechanic reaction now. Like, oh, racism, let's respond. Let's talk about it. So it is what it is. But shouts out to Gilbert. He has a place in this thing. I don't watch his show because they don't be saying nothing. Right. But I understand that it does have its place. So it is what it is. Last but not least, we are going to talk about Stack 5. Steven Jackson, friend of the channel, who has some words for Sebastian Telfair. Sebastian Telfair, former prodigy, former underachieving as a pro NBA player, in my opinion, recently was on an episode of Vlad's show, and he kind of was talking about how Kobe used to keep side chicks. And, Steven Jackson was not liking that. And so Steven Jackson was like, hey, man, we got to stop all of this because, number one, you speaking on the dead. And number two, what's with all of these, guys, getting on the internet and trying to, speak on other people in this way just for attention. So here's what Steven Jackson had to say. And then for context, we will attempt to play what Telfair had to say. Hopefully the video doesn't get flagged, but we'll go ahead and give it a shot. But this says Steven Jackson blasts Sebastian Telfair for speaking negatively about Kobe Bryant. Steven Jackson recently called out Sebastian Telfair for his comments about Kobe Bryant, expressing his frustration and disappointment in Telfair's remarks. Jackson criticized Telfair for seeking attention through negative comments about other athletes, specifically targeting Kobe. Hey, man, to all the athletes that might go through hard times, that their career don't go the way they want to go, just don't be Sebastian Telfair, dog, okay? Don't be him. So anxious and so greedy to have some attention that he just walking around saying anything on our show, talking about Chris Paul and everybody. Now you're going to say stuff about Kobe, like, bro, come on, bro. So in his statement, Jackson urged athletes who might face difficult times or whose careers don't go as planned to avoid becoming like Telfair. He emphasized that seeking attention by spreading baseless claims about others is not the way to handle personal struggles. Jackson's primary concern was the disrespect shown towards Kobe Bryant, who is no longer alive to defend himself. He expressed his disbelief that Telfair would stoop to such a level, calling it the weakest behavior. So here's what Mr. Jackson had to say. Stack 5.
Hey, man, to all the athletes that might go through hard times, the career don't go the way they want to go, just don't be Sebastian Telfair, dog. Okay? Don't be him. So anxious and so greedy to have some attention that he just walking around saying anything. On our show, talking about Chris Paul and everybody. Now he going to saying stuff about Kobe. Like, bro, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, what are you gaining from that? What type of attention you think you gaining from that, bro? Like, that's the weakest shit in the world to even mention the dead about what's like. That's crazy, bro. But you can't be mad at people for the mistakes you made, for the decisions you made, all right? That's sad when a motherfucker got to bring up other people to make himself look better because he ain't got shit going on and he ain't doing nothing to be proud of. I got to cut this weak shit out. Do not be Sebastian Telfair.
This PSA brought to you by Steven Jackson.
Wow.
And so this was the video that Steven Jackson was responding to. So we'll go ahead and get this queued up here. All right, so here is what Steven Jackson was responding to. This is Sebastian Telfair talking about Kobe. Oh,
Shit,
hold up. Let me bring it back.
but that's ain't much. I'll give y'all another Kobe story with the chicks. Shit, but that's ain't much. So yeah, my ex is in her, the little go out group with Emily and Piara and all them girls, whatever. And yeah, so it was this one chick in the group, I won't say her name, and she was the baddest, right? And she was a friend of all the girls and all this. And then she comes to LA. She's staying at my house. They all staying at my house in LA at this time. I think it's my ex-wife birthday, right? And we playing against the Lakers. And she at the game with us. And then we ain't see her for 8 months. We ain't see her for 8 months. And I was like, yo, where is this girl at? And when she popped back up, yeah, she was living at the Palazzo right there. Across from what's that mall out there in LA? What's the shopping mall outside?
Beverly Center?
Huh?
Beverly Center? No, the Grove?
Center. The Grove.
Yeah.
Kobe snatched her. Kobe must have been shooting a free throw like she bad. Kobe had them chicks, but he wasn't in no clubs.
Jeez.
All right, so Steven Jackson did not take too kindly to that. He had a serious issue with Telfair speaking on this. I guess once this particular episode has been live and embedded into YouTube, we'll know whether we need to edit that out. So we'll see. Hopefully it's fair use, but we'll see. We might get copyrighted for that. Certain people on the internet are very greedy and pretentious and self-righteous when it comes to the use of their content. Vlad and DJ Academics chiefly among them. Mm-hmm. But what did you make of Steven Jackson and what he had to say about Telfair telling that story?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that he took time off from his busy days on O Block and and decide to say something that actually has some relevance to it and some honor behind it. When I saw the clip of Sebastian, I saw it online of him saying this. As I'm hearing him say that, tell this story, I'm going, why you going there? And I just immediately scrolled up as soon as I heard him talking like that about Kobe. It was like, bro, I don't want to hear that. And why are you doing this now? For clout? Just to say that you were associated with a girl that you wanted to hit, but you weren't him like Kobe is, so he actually hit her? You actually here to tell me that story? I can't believe that. And yeah, here he is telling that story to Vladimir. And so that's the part about this that I didn't care for. Because also in the algorithms right now that's just gone on in life is that Kobe's father passed. But dealing with DJ Vlad, he's going to try to poke and prod on something. And I don't know how he, maybe he was keeping this in the holster or maybe he asked something. I don't like, how did they come up with this? But be that as it may, Vlad don't do stuff by accident. And so I feel like this is also part of his algorithm play to be out there when something's going on with somebody. And for them to try to sully Kobe, I've never seen so many people come after one person after he passed. Now, I've heard people say that Kobe kind of did the same thing to Shaq, like snitching on him or whatever with his infidelities. Hey, look, man, it's whatever. All I'm saying is that the way that Sebastian Telfair was carrying himself in that moment, it wasn't honorable. I hope he does get the help he needs if he's scrambling around for DJ Vlad interviews and looking bug-eyed the way he is. I hope he's doing all right. But this is not the way to do it, dude. And this reminds me a lot of that LaShawn McCoy situation. Now, we didn't cover that here. But LaShawn McCoy had a similar incident where he's just out here podcasting and spilling tea as a man. Can't believe it.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
And he want to throw Mutombo of all people under the bus.
Yeah.
Mutombo won't hurt a fly. And he's out there actually helping his community and doing stuff, and you know what I'm saying? And he want to throw out Mutombo name out there for clicks and views. But this is the era we in, bro. You know, when they painting nails and they doing all this other stuff, bro, they gonna start going down the line of other sucker things.
Yep.
And then all this non-honorable behavior, it just becomes normalized.
Yep.
And so this is the part about it that I do not like. You know what I'm saying? Whatever Kobe did with, in his time off or whatever, and him and his wife, they got to deal with that. But nobody knew this until this guy come around here saying that. And so everybody still know about his wife. Everybody still know about his daughter that's still out here. And you out here throwing stuff in the mix for a Vlad check. So Vlad, he can go kick rocks. Sebastian, he can go kick rocks, man. Just very distasteful behavior right here. I don't care for it. And for once, man, Stack 5 coming out with a take that I can agree with. Oh man, what's going on there? But what are your thoughts, sir, on Sebastian Telfair spilling tea and Steven Jackson correcting him on that? What are your thoughts?
I'm with Stack and I'm with you. I think that this is gross, hideous behavior, but this comes from the same place of I'll smash your girl on purpose. There's men no longer live by a code that they stand on.
Correct.
We just don't. It's just whatever man. It's just every man for himself. Anything goes. There's no honor. There's no code. So I can know you for 20 years, but if your girl is getting fresh with me, I'm a smash on purpose. Even though I've known you for 20 years, it comes from the same Drake place. It's the same.
He does.
It's the same thing, and it's disgusting. Like, that's why the women don't respect us anymore, because we don't have a code that we stand on.
Correct.
That's why women know that they can extract whatever they want from us, because they know we're slaves to vagina, and we will willingly bend the knee, submit, because we don't have a code. As long as she has a pretty face and a fat ass, usually surgically enhanced, we throwing the whole book at her. We're throwing the whole book at her. Do you think half these chicks? And I'm going on a tangent right quick. But do you think half these chicks who be running out here getting these BBLs would still be doing it if they knew that guys would be like, I'm straight off that, I don't need it, I like the natural? They wouldn't be doing it. They only do it because they know that sucker dudes with no code will just do it because they're a walking ATM machine. They just ready to cash out at any given moment. And that's what a guy with no backbone, no spine, no morals, no code, no ethics does. And that's what Telfair is putting on display here. Not to make this about men, not to make this something between men and women, but, I expect women to engage in attention-seeking behavior more than men. Men are the builders. Men are the architects, the orchestrators, traditionally. So men historically have not had to relegate themselves to attention-seeking behavior for notoriety and financial gain, because they've had whatever it is that they practice or build or muster or create in order to earn that, in order to get that, in order to earn what they want for themselves. But obviously those days are long gone, and men are engaging in attention-seeking behavior at just as great, if not an even greater rate than women. And I find this to be absolutely disgusting. See, if Sebastian Telfair, and this is more of a greater conversation about men's tendencies than just about Telfair to me.
Correct.
If Telfair was the type of person who maximized his opportunity as a professional basketball player, maybe he would have had $1 million to invest in something that can grow over time, so that he did not have to resort to Vlad interviews for money, because they get paid for that stuff. So maybe if you were somebody who was able to position yourself for generational wealth off of the back of the opportunity that being a pro basketball player afforded you, you would not have to resort to doing internet interviews and jumping on podcasts saying salacious things for attention and algorithm plays. But because you were not smart enough to do those kinds of things, this is where you find yourself. And you talk about, again, I'm directing this towards Telfair, but I'm really talking to men in general. You fail society in general when you do become that guy who has to do these things because you didn't see to it to build from the ground up with the opportunities that you were given to you when you had the chance to seize upon those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was a prodigy coming out of high school. When we were going, like, bro, when we were in high school, one of the biggest names I heard out of New York was Telfair. Telfair. Telfair was like YouTube before there was YouTube. There was all of these tapes and one mixtape clips, all of this stuff about what Telfair was doing in New York. I thought the dude was a prodigy.
Yeah, me too.
I thought he was finna come into the league and tear the shit up.
Yep.
Instead, we got career underachievement.
Yep.
We got what's his best year as a pro? Like, I'm looking at his career stats here.
Oh, bro,
and I'm seeing in 2009, 2010, he was on Cleveland. He averaged 9.8 points, 45% field goal percentage, 22% from three, which is terrible. 1 rebound a game, which is bad. 3 assists a game, which is bad if you're a point, and 0.5 steals per game. That looks like the best single season he put together. Looking at these numbers at face value.
Well, what season that is?
That was 2009, 2010.
Yeah, and he only played 4 games. That's why.
oh, yeah, that's right. Games played 4. Okay,
yeah, so that's why.
Yeah. So get rid of what I just said there. Yeah. So if we want to take into account games played, he played 78 games with the Celtics in 2006, 2007, 6 points a game, 37% from the field, which again, bad if you're a guard, 28% from 3, round up to 29 if you want to be generous, bad if you're a guard, 1.4 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game, bad if you're a point, 0.6 steals a game. Like, the guy was a career underachiever. There is a correlation between that kind of guy who does not maximize on his opportunities and the kind of guy who becomes a gossip queen on the internet. It's sad.
Yeah.
But we're losing our way. Men, we're losing our way. We're not builders anymore. We're not creators. We're not establishing any sort of foundation that can have us respected by our peers and by our women. We're just doing the same thing that everyone else does. Do as the Romans do. Get on a culture vulture like Vlad's culture vulturing show and lament about a guy who isn't even alive to defend his merits anymore. And what are you all talking about? Women, of course, of all things, we're talking about women. So it's disgusting. It's gross. I watched that video and I almost threw up in my mouth, but it is to be expected. The currency of attention nowadays is just as palpable as actual currency. Many people leverage it and turn it into actual currency. It's just upsetting when you see people like him, and he's not alone. There's others, but it's upsetting to see people like him basically be Larsa Pippen.
Yeah.
And do what Larsa Pippen does. Do what Kim Kardashian does. Do what the rest of these celebritantes do, currying favor with attention currency in order to try and get notoriety and a little chunk of change. It's sad. It really is.
Yeah, truly sucker stuff, man. So, yeah, man. Something like this, he's banned, bro. He's like, there's not much he can say to actually get in my good graces at this point, because he was willing to do that. That's something that you tell to your boy. It's not DJ Vlad with whatever 0.1 subscribers. So, if you want to share that story with your boys, hey, man, have at it, man. That's not outing him to the world. So really lame stuff. And yeah, man, but honestly, I think we're going to see more of this now. Somebody like McCoy doing it, who's clearly getting a check from Fox, but I guess that ain't enough. You still got to go viral on your own platform, whatever it takes. So these guys are doing, and we just covered Gil. And it's crazy that these athletes are now turning into the people we don't like, and it's crazy. Like, we used to defend the players from the media from doing this to them. now they're coming into the media and just doing it now. You know, they're becoming everything that I'm pretty sure they used to criticize from Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. So it's quite ironic. So sorry, Sebastian Kick Rocks. Stack 5. You still could kick rocks too, bro. But but I agree with you on this. Hey, I can be objective, player. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you on this one, man. But wild stuff, bro. Wild stuff.
It is, man. It's gross. Shouts out, man. Ray from Flint. He said it's morally wrong that Telfair did that. In this internet era, his daughters are getting older, and things like this will be sent to them by other miserable people trying to tarnish the legacy of Kobe. So,
yep.
Hard to argue that point, man. But attention-seeking behavior, just like all of the rest of the stuff that we talk about on this channel, you know, the sexual marketplace, OnlyFans, attention-seeking behavior, you can throw all of that into the pot of like stuff that's supposed to be on the fringes of society, but we're just normalizing it to the point where we're desensitized to the idea that there's something wrong with it. And so I do agree with you. There's going to be more of these guys doing these goofy interviews, airing out stuff when it comes to women on other men. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And honestly, and bro got a good point, man. The Kobe slander needs to stop. Like I still don't understand it. The man's gone. And there's too many headlines coming out about him, about like lame stuff like this, or you know, whatever. So yeah, man, I'm not for it, man. I think just let certain people rest, man. So but you know, I don't know what's going on with that campaign. It seems to be something with that. I don't know why, but yeah, man, people like to take jabs at Kobe now. I don't know what that's about.
Oh yeah. Shouts out to Stack. Telfair, do better, bro.
Tighten up, bro.
Yeah, do better, bro. And all my men out there, we need to just do better. As a conscious approach PSA, man, we got to do better.
Hey, honestly, and especially our generation, like, hey, we got to hold it down for men in world history, and we don't want to be the ones that drop the ball for real. We don't want to be responsible for that, man. So tighten up, man.
Yeah. Facts, yeah. But on that note, we are going to close this stream out. Good stuff. JV wins Dogon SS once again. Another Conscious Approach episode in the books. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Shouts out to everybody on the chat. Dudley, as always. Flint from Michigan, man. Appreciate you. Ray from Flint. Sorry, Ray from Flint. But yeah. JV Wins on Instagram at JV Wins, JVWINS. Conscious Approach also on Instagram at Con Approach, CONAPPROACH. Shouts out to once again, I want to give one more shouts out to BJ Santana, who sent us the Drea De Matteo content that we use for our first block tonight, man. We appreciate you as well. You the real MVP. Shouts out to everybody who follows along and likes what we do here on the channel. Be on the lookout for when you can check us out on all of the podcast platforms. But until then, everybody keep your head up, man. Think for yourself, and we'll catch you on the next video.
Yeah. And as JV says, man, we really appreciate you guys for liking, subscribing, and leaving them comments. Really appreciate you guys. But as I say on every pod, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it pure, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. You know what I'm saying? So follow me at Dogon_SS on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So until next time, guys. Peace.
Yeah, fellas, put the OnlyFans down. Put it down. You know, let it go.
Drop it. Drop it. Let it go, man. And put down the lotion, player. There's a whole world out there.
It really is. It really is. But we'll see y'all later, man. We out. Peace.
Peace. Later, y'all. Go Canes. Go Heat.